Welcome to the Gaming Coop, the best space to talk about love? Let's introduce today's players. Player 1, Kitty Boo. It's Chris. That's me. Hi. Player 2, Milk Lemonade around the corner fudge is made. It's Anthony. Player 3 can turn children into doves. She got 3 Able tickets and she's not afraid to use them. And she's Commander Shepard's favorite person on the Citadel. It's Kelsey.
Thanks, Anthony.
Player 4 is an awesome comic who makes awesome comics. It's Walsh. And also Skylar's there as well. I forgot to tie that into the intro. I apologize.
It's okay. She's my comic.
Yeah, there you go.
Now I'm my own comic.
Player 5. This week, I'm talking about furry bait. It's Matt.
Fair, but...
Player 6 is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test that gets more magnanimous as he continues. It's Gabe. Did I stick the landing on that?
I wanted to choose words that would be hard for Chris to say.
You fucking asshole. That's fair. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Gaming Coop. Happy February, or should I say like happy end of last day of February at this point. It's our monthly get together that we had to like squeeze in here. But we usually just come here and we talk about the games that we've been playing and we choose a topic and we're all good to go. But this time we're making things interesting. We're gonna talk about relationships, and not just like the little heteronormative fucking relationships that are out there. No. We're not just sticking to that same streamline of things. We're talking about any relationships in video games because it's very interesting to see how storytelling goes in video games, how people go about portraying characters, whether it's protagonists with a side character or just two side characters. Why are we have face cam on, and I just wanted. I'm very curious why people are laughing.
I'm laughing at that, Skylar, because everything they're doing is so distracting to me right now. They're like feeding each other. They're like looking at a napkin. I'm like, what is going on?
Oh, you're looking at us.
So, Chris, you're telling me that nobody picked Mario and Zelda?
No, and it's very disappointing that no one did, because that was one of the best relationships in terms of story-wise in Subspace Emissary. Like,
no,
truly.
It should have been Link and Mipha.
Link and Mipha, that's true.
No, what we needed was Hanzo and McCree from Overwatch.
You see, so well, here's the thing, guys. If we have time at the end, we can really go over this on our mentions. But each of us do have a relationship that we want to dissect and we want to talk about. And I want to get this conversation started here because I think one of the best relationships that can be explored in video games are a hero with an antagonist. What is the relationship between those? And to me, one of the best representations of that is from Portal and Portal 2, with Chell, the main protagonist that we don't really know much about, and GLaDOS, basically the main character of both Portal games. And so I want to start with this one because I played Portal like 6 years back for the first time, and Portal 2 remains, I think, probably my favorite video game ever. I mean, maybe it's behind Minecraft at this point, but it's like it is by and large like one of the best games ever made. And I think a lot of it has to do with how well the characters in the game, again with the exception of the silent protagonist, but even Chell has her moments in the lore, I guess. But how well the antagonists are written in the games, and GLaDOS is essentially the central mother computer, essentially, of Aperture Science. That is the person that is guiding Chell throughout all the different puzzles that you have to solve with the portal gun. And essentially, at times being, just being the usual, like, computer sounding self, like, sound, like, very generic. But then GLaDOS starts gaining a little bit of a personality once you start to escape from her and look to break out from the labs. And then she gets very vindictive, very insulting, but also very funny, because the dialogue that ends up being portrayed for, like, the dialogue is so fucking good in that game, because it is just a constant berating from someone that basically sounds like Alexa. Like it's fantastic. And it is the evolution, though. Portal 1, it does its job of kind of presenting some of those elements, but Portal 2, I think, really expands on that, because then you get another twist in there with the introduction of Wheatley, who starts out the game being partnered with Chell as, like, almost like an assistant through the destroyed Aperture Labs. But what ends up happening is that, and this is, by the way, there's going to be a lot of spoilers throughout all this. This game is a decade old, so I hope you really don't mind the spoilers at this point. But essentially, GLaDOS gets destroyed at the end of the first game. Second game comes around, and GLaDOS is revived after Wheatley accidentally revives her. And so she comes back, and she's so angry at Chell and is looking to do anything possible to just not necessarily kill Chell, but to force her to go through every test over and over again, to just continuously, like, keep her in a state that will forever keep her a test subject. But then it gets to a point in the story where when you are able to get GLaDOS in a position where you can take her over her body and override her, and she gets replaced by Wheatley. Wheatley then becomes the villain, because Wheatley realizes the power that he has, and he starts to grow very, like, oh my god, I have all this power, and I'm loving it, and you know what? I have no use for you anymore. Goodbye, and send Chell and GLaDOS down into, like, the deep, dark, dead trenches of Aperture. And so from there, I think that's where the crux of the Chell-GLaDOS relationship really works, is that you basically have to partner up with GLaDOS at that point. And once you find GLaDOS, of course. And she's also now a potato, which is funny. Because basically what her mind was, like, programmed into, like, a potato battery type thing. But she's basically now insulting you, but also being like, all right, we have to figure out a way to get out. And you start to learn a lot about GLaDOS, and you learn what happened to her. You learn that she used to be another scientist at the lab. In fact, the second in command at Aperture Labs, behind the main person who was named
Cave Johnson.
Yeah, Gabe Johnson.
Cave
Johnson, excuse me.
Cave Johnson, voiced by the legendary J.K. Simmons.
Yeah. And
oh god, I love him.
Yeah, it's so good. And we start to learn that GLaDOS was a scientist there, and at some point Cave Johnson wanted his mind installed into a supercomputer. But when he got sick and that ended up working out, it ended up being that Caroline is her name, right? Caroline, yep. The scientist. She ended up being the one being installed into the supercomputer, and that's what made GLaDOS. And it was kind of against her will in some ways, but she did it also for the company in the same sense. And there's this tragic backstory about GLaDOS, and Chell's relationship to that is very interesting, because it kind of, from your perspective, you're Chell, you know how horrible GLaDOS is and how horrible GLaDOS is to you, but you gain sympathy for her in this instance. You learn that, like, holy crap, you used to be a human. You used to be someone that, like, was just trying to work behind Cave Johnson and just learn and grow and have this industry, and now you are stuck in a computer for the rest of your life, or not even, like, just for the rest of existence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To me, like, that relationship grew, and I just realized I think it has to go to the deepest level of this whole thing, where we start to learn that Chell was once a child in the facility because of something that is found in one of like the science project portions of the facility where you see Chell's name. And so we learned that Chell was actually used to be part of the facility. And then that's when theories kind of started to grow where Chell might have been like a child of Caroline's. And that adds a whole nother dynamic to the whole thing. So I talked a lot just now. To the people who have played Portal, I just want to know what's your thoughts on GLaDOS as a character, but also the relationship between her and Chell throughout the game that I did, whether or not I did a good job of presenting.
So, love GLaDOS. Fantastic character. One of the best written characters in video game history. Like, her dialogue is just consistently spot on. One of the most well-known parts about Portal is the end credit songs. Still Alive from Portal 1 and Want You Gone from Portal 2, and I think that those two songs, the difference between them, shows the growth that the two characters have made. Because Still Alive is GLaDOS really taunting Chell. When you're dying, when you're dying, I'll be still alive.
Right.
I feel fantastic and I'm still alive. Just like taunting her about the fact that, haha, you're a human, I'm going to live forever. But in Portal 2, it's Want You Gone. At first I wanted you dead, but now I only want you gone.
Right.
So it just those two songs at the end of each game really show the growth that they made. And I like making that connection because of that relationship, because of that connection between this antagonistic figure who has been taunting you relentlessly for a game and a half.
Yeah.
I love GLaDOS as a character. I think that she deserves some credit for being, like, as you mentioned, this really tragic figure that at first you think is just being a real menace and trying to kill you, but then you start to empathize with her. And I shared an image of what GLaDOS looks like at the end of Portal 1, and she's essentially meant to look like a bound woman. And that's literally what she is. She doesn't want to be there, and that's why she does the things that she does. And she's gone entirely mad. And you literally take away parts of her personality and destroy them in order to try and destroy her. So it also makes me kind of emotional because when she's no longer the big bad in Portal 2, she's actually really likable, and you start to feel bad for the shit that you've done to her. And I think that she also feels bad for the stuff that she's done to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, not being in that position of power anymore, like, changes who she is. And I guess that speaks to a larger issue of power corrupts, you know? But,
yeah, I think along to your point too, like even at the end, like I wish I could remember the exact lines. I've played this game so much, but it's been a while, so I'm forgetting some of the lines. But there was a part at the end when you were officially like when things
leaving
get
the
resolved
facility.
A little bit. Yeah, leaving the facility. Yeah. She says something to you, and I'm gonna forget, but it was something on the lines of like, you were truly like my only friend, or something along those lines. And then like it kind of was just like, fucking damn.
So yeah, so there's that. She says something like that, and then immediately after deletes all memory of Carolyn.
Right.
Which is another just huge point in GLaDOS's favor that is so well done.
Yeah, because Caroline is the sympathetic element of GLaDOS.
Right.
Is the sympathetic side to her, and so it's like. When she lost that power that was like she had like stoked because she was in charge of the entire facility, when she lost that when Wheatley took over, it was kind of that she was able to kind of refine that human that was inside of her, the literal humanity inside her. She was able to find again. It's fascinating, man. I cannot. That is a game I'm like. Now I want to go back and replay. It's not even like I don't even care that it's the same puzzles again. Like it's to me, the story is just so goddamn good. Like, and it's one of Valve's like best writing works out there. I know obviously like Half-Life 2 and everything, but it's just it has to be up there.
Yeah, for a puzzle game, it shouldn't be as good of a story as it is.
Right. Exactly. Any other thoughts on Portal 2 from people, or just from Chell and GLaDOS at least?
Yeah, I'd love to comment.
Yeah.
I really do think that, especially because Chell is a completely silent character, the fact that GLaDOS carries so much of the relationship, and while I didn't play them in order, the contrast between Portal 1 and Portal 2 in terms of personality and the amount that they added and how much they leaned into this relationship, it just really shows a huge leap in terms of really engaging with the player and keeping them interested in a character who really just kind of bullies you the whole time.
Yeah.
And then when they rely on you, how that relationship changes. And it becomes a relationship of abusive tester and helpless test subject to, like, somebody like, okay, you're not so bad. Maybe I don't hate you with every fiber of my being anymore.
Yeah.
But it really is, for a puzzle game, it really keeps the player enamored the entire time. And I think that that's really shows the success, especially since one of the characters is completely silent.
Yeah, 100%. Gabe, were you going to say something?
The smelly garbage line still gets me.
Which one?
I think I know what you're talking about. I have to think, though.
I'm going to read it out loud.
Okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay.
You go.
Remember before when I was talking about smelly garbage standing around being useless? That was a metaphor. I was actually talking about you. And I'm sorry, you didn't react at the time, so I was worried it sailed right over your head, which would have made this apology seem insane. That's why I had to call you garbage the second time just now.
Oh, it's so good. My favorite line from the game isn't necessarily between those two, but it's the part where he kills you. It's GLaDOS says, "Oh no, this is the part where he kills us." Wheelie comes on screen and says, "This is the part where I kill you." Chapter 8, the part where he kills you. You get an achievement saying, "This is the part where he kills you."
It's just like all these different elements on the screen just say same
Yeah.
thing. I gotta say, like, I love that line. Going back to Gabe's line though, like that to me is the like epitome of the entire of what GLaDOS is. It's literally the idea of like the whole fucking like just imagine Alexa saying that. Just imagine like Alexa just on the speaker just calling you trash. That's what it is. But it's fucking great because it embodies everything that has happened to that point.
It's when you ask Siri to divide 0 by 0, and she says
you're fucking trash.
says you have no friends.
Oh my god!
And you are sad because you have no friends.
Holy shit! Well, there you go. So it's just GLaDOS is just comparing reality right there. All right. It's so good. But I do want to touch on a PlayStation relationship now. One of the greatest platformers out there, Ratchet and Clank, and specifically the characters of Ratchet and Clank. Anthony, take it away.
Yes, I grew up with Ratchet and Clank. It is one of my favorite series of all time. Has my favorite characters of all time. And really the kind of setup that you have in that game between those two characters is that Ratchet is the classic anti-hero. He likes repairing ships and not much else. And Clank is quite literally born into purpose. He's born in this factory where they're making planet-destroying robots. And he goes to escape and gets shot down and crash lands right next to Ratchet. And Clank's like, "Oh my god, you've got to help me save the universe. Like, they're killer robots. They're coming to destroy all the planets." And Ratchet's like, yeah, but I'm working on my ship." And Clank's like, "Don't you want to go save the world?" And Ratchet's like, that's quite literally
it's a little heavy.
Yeah. But he ultimately agrees to help, and Ratchet is like the inner voice that I have at work when people like ask for help, and that he really does not want to help people, and that he doesn't want to be there, and he literally just wants to like go home and watch TV. And Clank is like the driving voice that is like, Ratchet, we have to save these people. Like, they're coming to attack the planet. And you watch as ultimately they do save the day. And Ratchet gets turned from an anti-hero into a hero. And at the end of the game, they choose not to go their separate ways. And then it launches this series of games where they go and save the day together. And Clank's usually on Ratchet's back. He acts as this little, like, jump booster so that Ratchet can go places. But sometimes he also does things that Ratchet can't do. And when Ratchet doesn't know how to talk to people, Clank does. And sometimes when Clank can't physically do something like beating up people with a wrench or a rocket launcher, that's what Ratchet's there for. And I guess at the end of the day, it's just a really sweet kind of like dynamic, because they're not there to fix each other's problems. It's just that their companionship, the attributes and what they both bring to the table is perfect for what they always need to do. And always in the games, you can see that they are just each other's best friend.
Wow.
And there's nothing better than that.
Can I just say something right quick?
Yeah, well, go ahead, Skylar.
I played those games when I was younger,
Yeah.
and I had no idea that was the plot. I'm sitting here like, oh shit, that's what they're doing?
In the first game, they're like, evil mega corporation is like, we're going to take just a small piece of each planet and make a superior planet. Like, it's so dumb, but like all the plots of the games are like this really dumb doomsday scenario that they're like, alright.
Here we go.
Like I've played all the games and I just had no idea that was the plot. I'm just like throw the wrench. Jump. Let's keep going.
Now, this game is a bit of a blind spot for me because I do admire Ratchet and Clank from afar, but the only game I've ever played through that has Ratchet and Clank in it is Hot Shot Golf 4, where Ratchet is a golfer and Clank is a caddy. That's basic, but I do know that like it is interesting because I know that Ratchet is very much like that, like edgy kind of like, I don't care about you, I don't care about what's going on, and is a little cocky about like who he is. And Clank is like the more like level-headed one in the whole thing, even though he's also probably doesn't he also like panic a lot too in certain situations, especially. No. He's calm for the most part.
He's calm and calculating, which I guess makes sense for a robot.
Yeah. And
Ratchet actually sometimes gets mad. He's like, "No, I don't want to do this."
Yeah.
And Clank's, but we have to.
Anyone else who has experience playing the games in terms of their perspective on Ratchet and Clank?
I actually do.
Yeah.
I never really played the mainline ones, but the one I definitely played the most as a kid was Deadlocked.
Yes.
Deadlocked was like this. It's a more combat centric game where like, while you still have like the variety of weapons that you can use to destroy things and stuff like that, it's mainly like an arena fighter where you're in this Coliseum-esque fight. Where you have to like, it's a deathmatch.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a deathmatch, and you have to get through all of the main antagonists in order to get through the game. But Ratchet and Clank have some really good dialogue there to really cement their relationship as like a dynamic duo. It's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I wanted to ask you, Anthony, too. Like, I know you've been critical of the recent remakes, or not remakes, but are they remakes of the PlayStation 4?
Retellings?
Yeah.
It is kind of like a remake. But the reason why I'm critical of it, I actually enjoyed it when it came out, and then I watched a YouTuber do like a deep dive into like the lore and the characterization. And the 2016 Ratchet and Clank game was made to tie in with the 2016 Ratchet and Clank movie.
Yeah.
Which kind of like boiled down a lot of the plot points and made things like funny and like appealing to, I guess, the general audience. And in doing so, they just took sandpaper and they sanded down any rough aspect of the game. So like where it had a lot of like edgy dark humor, totally gone. Where Ratchet had a bit of an edgier personality, totally gone. And they even introduced like these interpersonal dramatic conflicts in the movie and in the game that never actually matter. Just because it's like the middle point of the movie and they had to like have some kind of tension.
Right.
Sure.
So if anybody's interested, the best way to experience like the original games is the collection on the PS3. The PS4 one looks really nice, but the story is just like
Not as substantial.
really like unoffensive, uninteresting, just kind of bland.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead, Matt.
I have a little bit of Ratchet and Clank experience. Ironically, it's the one PS2 era platformer that I never got into, which is a shame. It's on my list to play one day. I do like their relationship a lot. I think Ratchet is a great protagonist. And this may ruin him for some people, but he is voiced by the same person that voices Johnny Test.
Fuck.
Okay. Okay, fair. All right, that's not great, but cool. we move forward. I don't know if you finished your point, Matt.
That's done. That's
okay.
it. I just wanted to
Just
drop
wanted to
that.
point out Johnny Test. Anthony, one last thing before we move on. Rifts apart. We know that the next game is going to be that Clank and Ratchet get separated, and Clank is going to end up being partnered with this what's the species called?
Lombax.
Yeah.
So with the female Lombax. What do you think is going to happen with that relationship, out of curiosity, between Ratchet and Clank on that front? Do you think that Ratchet will continue to try to do what he can to save the things? I mean, obviously he will, because it's a fucking video game. But, like, do you think he's going to be apprehensive to do that because he doesn't have, like, the level-headed Clank and calculating Clank by his side?
So, the series actually toyed with that idea before. The game that Gabe mentioned, Ratchet Deadlocked, it's not called Ratchet and Clank Deadlocked because Clank is an NPC in that game who does not hang out with you. So, they've already kind of toyed with the idea of Ratchet as his own kind of thing. But in regards to character motivation, he was kind of like, do this or die. So, that was settled.
Yeah.
At this point, we don't know if it's using the old established, like, all those previous games and how Ratchet was in them and his motivations, or if they're continuing the 2016 version of Ratchet. I think that if they're going under the old ones, there was a point where Ratchet turned from, like, a reluctant anti-hero to a hero that's just a little cranky sometimes and doesn't always like the people that he helps. So I think that no matter what, we are going to see a Ratchet who does save the day. And Clank, we don't have to worry about him.
Yeah. Sounds good. So moving across the PlayStation universe, we go to Horizon Zero Dawn and Aloy and Rost. Rost? Is that how you pronounce it? Rost?
Rost, I think is how they pronounce it in the game. But
Kelsey, yes.
So, before I start talking about it, because I'm trying to, there are some really poignant points I'd like to make, but it involves divulging a spoiler and maybe like a sub-spoiler. However, the spoiler occurs very early on in the game, and I'm not sure if anybody here intends on playing the series or is interested, or if I can discuss it freely and then we just make sure that this episode is heavily written as spoiler. Oops.
Yeah, like I said earlier too, like I went deep into the Portal lore, really.
Okay.
This
is a much more recent game.
It's a more recent
game that
right.
has a sequel impending. So
I will not be playing it, so it's okay if you go.
Okay.
If you want to skip ahead, you can go to the timestamp that we have on our MySpace page.
Yes, yeah, there you go.
I was like, what are you talking about? Okay.
On screen right now.
Yeah, on
right.
our screen.
I was like, where do I go?
Oh wait, we actually put these
yeah,
on
we do
YouTube.
have a
That
YouTube
actually
video.
could
Fuck.
happen. Yeah, shit.
You have
I have to remember
you have
this.
to click on Chris's bird, and then do left, left, right, up, down.
Yeah.
Down.
And you have to solve.
Zero,
You have
cross
to
zero.
solve a jigsaw
Ooh,
planet
circle.
puzzle.
Stop on your right foot. Don't forget it.
Is this because I derailed your podcast the other day with diarrhea? Is this payback?
That was a long time ago. Jeez.
Still the other day in the,
in the Gaming Coop world.
Time
yeah,
is
exactly.
a construct.
Yeah.
True.
In the years of the person binge listening this.
Right, exactly. Okay, anyway. So, Horizon Zero Dawn is a first-person adventure quest, open world, in my opinion, game. I'm pretty sure it would be classified as that because you can pretty much go and do whatever you want at any time. But essentially, the context of the game is that you are, or the plot rather, is that you are in about 1,000 years in the future, and the world is occupied by both small tribes or societies of people and machines. And the machines, up until the point at which you are coming into the world, were otherwise not... were kind of just doing their own thing, functioned as if you were tribes of people where there were wild animals outside your door, and you kind of either went and hunted them, or they kept to themselves, and you kept to yourself. They weren't, what's the word I'm looking for? Aggressive? But when you enter the game and playing the role that you're playing, something has caused the machines to be aggressive and are now violent and destructive, and it's causing issues for the people who are trying to live their lives on Earth. It takes place on Earth, on a continent. You're not entirely privy. Things don't seem to be what they were 1,000 years before, which would have been like our society, right, as we know it, America's, other countries, etc. Sure. So you're it's kind of got this like post-apocalyptic-y vibe to it. In that something has happened to society. You see that there are whole cities that have been overgrown by foliage, but you just have no idea what exactly happened. You are unaware of what the world was before. In fact, throughout the game, the language that is used is that they would refer to us as the old ones, that we were a society prior. So the relationship that I'm speaking about is the main protagonist. Her name's Aloy. And as opposed to it being a romantic relationship that I'm choosing to talk about, I'm going to be discussing like a paternal, a familial relationship, and a father figure, which was Aloy's caregiver, Rost, and Aloy herself. So Rost was a member of the tribe that you originally start in, but he has been outcasted. And you aren't told right away why he's been outcasted. But essentially there are gates to the cities or to the tribe areas where the people function within the society, and then if there are outcasts, they still are on the sacred grounds, but they are not allowed inside the city gates. So they're left to their own devices and have to function in and of themselves. Aloy is bestowed upon Rost because she is orphaned, as far as we know, initially, and he is asked to raise her as an outcast because something has happened where they do not feel that she can be raised on the sacred grounds, or rather within the city walls, but they are asking Rost in his position to raise her. And this is just not to give out like too much spoilers about background. That's what you need to know.
Sure.
So Rost takes it upon himself to raise Aloy, and you're shown glimpses of Aloy's childhood where he raises her to be paramountly a survivalist, a hunter, somebody who both respects the earth but knows how to use its resources and does whatever she can to survive. Aloy's conflicted about her origin, not knowing anything. Rost won't really tell her anything, and eventually realizes that if she wants answers, she's going to have to figure out how to get inside the gates and go and speak to the elders of the tribe. But in order to do that, she has to win the proving, which is like a big physical endeavor that they have to go through to prove that they are ultimate warriors, ultimate hunters. And if you win the proving, you are then, if you are an outcast, you get to then exist within society inside the gates. So once Aloy realizes she wants to do this, Rost changes his training of her and his raising of her to focus specifically on her winning the proving. But their relationship is essentially, he is the only figure in her life that she ever has as far as a parent, really the only person she interacts with besides being bullied by the other tribal kids who live inside the gates. And otherwise she just knows the machines, the land, and Rost. And Rost is clearly weathered, traumatized, has seen some shit, like, you know it, you can tell. And he's very also like disciplinary and militant in that he essentially serves as a father figure that is very much like, here's your lesson for today. And you have either failed or you haven't, and now we're going to go eat and go to bed. Like, that's, like, my job is to raise you to be excellent, and that is, like, the extent of our relationship, sort of. He also very much loves her. It's very clear that he cares deeply for Aloy and who she is. But he... Okay, so I'm just sorry. I'm trying to like speed it up and not be like I'm getting to the point of what needs to be done. So like just happens to be that like I have on this particular screen a couple of quotes where he's like something that he says to her is the strength to stand Aloy is the strength to take. Yeah. The strength to stand, Aloy, is the strength to make a stand, to serve a purpose greater than yourself. And, like, this is the shit, like, he's a fortune cookie, and he just runs around saying this shit all the time in the game. Like, he's just constantly laying down these wisdom seeds. So it gets to the point where he feels that he has helped Aloy train enough to do the proving, right? So, unfortunately, if you are an outcast, people who are inside the gates of the tribes are not allowed to talk to you. So he brings her to the proving, but essentially says, if you win, our relationship's done. Like, I love you and I've raised you, but if you were choosing this, the sacrifice is that we can no longer communicate. And I'm happy for you and I'm giving you away to the proving, but this is the last time that we're going to speak because I believe in you and that you're going to win. And so this is our final goodbye. And he doesn't really let her necessarily get a word in edgewise. He kind of turns and walks away from her. So you get to the point where very early on in the game, Aloy completes the proving. She does win, but the main antagonists in the game attack the proving and start killing people. Aloy fights off a certain amount of people. But it gets to the point where like the big bad shows up and he directly attacks Aloy. Aloy's being targeted, but she doesn't know why. So it looks like Aloy's a goner, and this is like where, spoiler alert, Rost didn't actually leave. He's been watching her the whole time because he wants to make sure that he wants to be proud of her and see her accomplish it. He races in when he sees that she's going to be a goner, and he's able to fight off the big bad to a certain extent, but he ultimately cannot, and he gets fatally wounded. In his last effort to save Aloy and to ensure that she has the life that she's destined to have, he pushes her off the side of the cliff so that she's not exploded by this motherfucker. And the last thing that he says to her is he shouts to her, survive. And that's the last thing that he ever says to her, and then he's gone. He dies, right? So it's a large wound that you experience very early on in the game because it is the only person who has ever loved her, shown her any kindness, raised her, leaves her for her own good, but really like can't help himself and hangs out and watches her, and then ultimately gives his life for hers. And so I think that on every level, Rost is like the father figure in the game almost solely. You don't really see that a lot in any other part of the game, and that you have a deep love and connection to Rost, in my opinion anyway, because he just embodies everything that a father should be in like just wanting to raise your children to be the best that they can be, accomplish goals even beyond yourself, and then sacrificing so much for them, and in his case, ultimately his life. So I think that this is one of the most beautiful arcs of relationship that I have experienced in games. I think that it's incredibly poignant, incredibly special, and I was very sad that Rost wasn't a continued character and that he got killed off so early on, because it was such a beautiful relationship. And so backtracking a little bit, when Aloy realizes that she's not going to be able to have a relationship with Rost anymore after she wins the proving, she resists that idea and she says, no, I'm still going to talk to you. And even if you can't talk back to me, even if you are not allowed to even look at me, I'm going to come visit you and tell you about my adventures, right? I'm going to try not to cry. So in the game, On the land that Rost tilled for himself on the outskirts of the game, a grave is made for him, and his remains are placed there. As Aloy, you are, throughout the game, you can visit Rost's grave and tell him about your adventures, but he can't talk back. And so the circumstances occur, and it's an incredibly poignant and chilling and sad, ironic plot point in the game, because you, at any point, no matter what you've accomplished in the game, you can return to Rost's grave and you essentially recount what you've learned so far, but then you still state your questions that you have unanswered. So it's an incredibly cool mechanic because it allows you to check in on your progress without just going into like a menu and checking off what quests you've accomplished. You go to him and you're like, well, this happened and that happened, and I finally learned this, but I still don't have this, and I wonder what that could be. And you're having a convo with him, and then if you finish saying what all that you say, you kind of go, all right, well, I guess I'll see you next time, and you kind of like melancholy walk away, and you're like, like the whole time you're like, holy shit. Like it's so
that is
poignant and incredible, and like that ability to go visit him and still talk to him, to me, just like further underscores their relationship and like further drives home, because how many of us have lost people that we love that we wish we could still have that one conversation with, but they can't talk back. Yep. You know what I mean? And like so I feel like on so many levels, this game, that relationship, even as short-lived as it is on screen, like as quick as it, like you learn about it and it goes away because of the events that occur in the early game, it persists throughout the entire game. If you choose, you don't have to go visit his grave and then it's, you know, out of sight, out of mind.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to do that. But as soon as I learned that was a mechanic, every time I finished something, I was like, I gotta go tell Rost. And I would I'd fast travel back to that spot. And I was like, I'm gonna tell him.
Can I just say, like, I haven't played the game, and like that mechanic makes me want to play the game.
Yeah. So like, sorry, spoiler now, but it's really cool.
No, yeah, it's I completely get it, because when there's so much mortality in video games, like there's so much death all the fucking time, you know, like you Call of Duty, you cut down a guy, you move on with your life, because you know what, that's just the game. But and even in stories, that's just someone dies, and obviously there's a mourning period, but you move on. The fact that death in a game, like it's very rare for video games to have a death happen and have it stay there throughout the entire story, or at least have the option for it to exist thoroughly in the protagonist and in the whole, you know, reality of the situation. So to me, I love that. I love hearing about that, and I think that is a really cool way of telling a story. Obviously sad, but really interesting and a really cool way of presenting that storyline, presenting that relationship.
Well, and like what's interesting to me, and like there are a lot of people who do not like Aloy. She's the only player character that we know of in the entire series, but they feel like it's a dud of a character. They feel like she should have been written differently, whatever. I personally love Aloy. I don't have a problem with it, but one of the criticisms people have is that the whole point of Aloy wanting to do the proving and get inside the gates is because she wants answers. She ultimately is unsure of where she came from, and nobody has seemingly any information on who her mother is. So the fact that she's so obsessed with figuring out who is my mom, where do I come from, but that she has such a beautiful relationship with Rost, and that he ultimately leaves her as well, and so she's yet again orphaned in the game. But like, people criticize, they feel like she becomes that she like forgets about Rost and becomes super obsessed with finding out who her mother is. No. Those are people that probably didn't use the mechanic.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Because I find that it's something that he is always her guiding light. His words and everything that he instilled in her are what make her who she is, the hunter, the fighter, who she is, and who ultimately reaches the end game. So, I mean, I could see where a lot of the other things that happen in the game, where that's lost to people, like I understand. But I just feel like I've played so many other games with absolutely beautiful, wonderful relationships, familial, friendship, romantic, whatever. But this stands out to me as, like, I was going to talk about another game completely until I remembered this, and I was like, oh no, this is what I'm talking about. Because,
yeah, exactly.
And being somebody where, like, I don't know, I feel like it was beautifully done. And a fun thing about Rost's character, too, is that, like, you really, just as much as you know so little about Aloy's story, you really don't know anything about Ross. And as you play the game and find out more about where Aloy come from, you are gifted with more information about who Ross was and why he was who he was and why he was outcast. Because a lot of the time, outcasts, they're criminals for the tribe. Like, they're people who have done terrible things, who are not allowed to live within the city gates.
Yeah.
So it makes you think, who is Ross and why is he outcast this way? Like, we know Aloy was done so as a baby, but we don't know anything about Ross. So by learning throughout the game, when you learn more about who he was and why he is where he was, it makes you kind of love the character even more and appreciate their relationship more. So I just feel like it's a very prominent relationship in the game, and a true testament about love and of the love that a parent shares with a child, even if adopted.
Yeah. Absolutely. Anyone? We do have to go on to the next segment, but just anyone who has played the game want to just give a quick word about the characters, because I wish I could do. We're just
have not played
the game. Yeah. So, anyone who has played that just would want to chime in.
Yeah, I guess like the game kind of feels like Aloy was like is part of a different world. Like there's something early on that kind of sets her apart and makes her different from everybody else. And I think that Rost is kind of not only our introduction into the game and how the society in the game operates, but he's also that for Aloy. And I guess he's like the teacher and probably one of the few people that she's able to trust at that point. So
yeah, absolutely. That's excellent. That was a really good one. And it makes me very curious about the game. So
I love it. I love it whenever games can do something like that, where like the Undertale does a lot, where like a line that's said between people becomes a game mechanic essentially.
Yeah. Totally
just breaks the rules, but makes sense with that one phrase in mind.
Yeah.
So exactly. Yep. 100%. All right. Before we move on to our next relationship, Mr. Walsh, you have a game for us to play.
Yes. So for anyone who's ever seen Whose Line Is It Anyway, or I've also heard of it as referred to as just like the Bachelor game, but we're going to be playing Let's Make a Date. I have sent to all of you a video game character that Chris is going to have to guess. The only rules are that when you are asked a question, you cannot do a character voice, which I knew immediately is very tempting. And you can't like outright say like what your name is or just drop like a huge hint. Try to be coy with it and try to just play around with it and see if we can get Chris to guess what it is.
Okay, so at this moment, I am deafening.
Okay, so we're gonna do. All right, so
we've taken over. It's our podcast over.
Now. So in Discord chat order, what is everybody?
I am Wario.
I am Yoshi.
I am Sonic.
I am Minecraft Steve.
Okay, this is gonna be fun.
Right. Yes.
All right, and then hold on.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't find the undeafen button.
That's okay. So and the way that we're gonna
rapid our movements would.
The way we're gonna do this is you're gonna go through Discord order. So, for example, Anthony being at the top, he is going to be Bachelor number 1, and then Matt being Bachelor number 2, and so on.
Okay, so do I ask questions like I would as the contestant?
You can ask as you would as a as your relationship contestant.
All right, Bachelor number 1.
Yes.
What is your idea of a perfect date?
Well, we'd probably, take my motorcycle, and we'd go explore some old ruins, and we'd find the treasure, and it would all be mine.
What am I allowed to guess?
You'll guess once we go through everybody at least.
Okay,
once.
all right, sounds good. Bachelor number 2. What is your ideal first? What would be an ideal Fuck. I always want to ask the same fucking question.
What is your
Ask them the
ideal
same
fuck?
question.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
of,
you
like,
can
the
ask
other...
everybody the same question, Chris. Sometimes they do that. They'll be like, answer.
What do you like? What do you look for in a partner?
I look for someone who is willing to try new things. Willing to travel long distances. Someone who's good with kids. Maybe someone who I ran out of things to say.
Okay, all right. Well,
Someone good with kids. Someone who likes to try new things. Yeah,
willing to take that jump.
Willing to take
Okay.
that jump.
Oh boy, that one's a little tougher. All right, sounds good. All right, Bachelor number 3. If we were if we were to get married, what would be your ideal spot?
Ooh. I need a second.
Yeah, go ahead. Take your time on this one.
I would say I really love the outdoors. And so I'd say that I'd like a lot of big open space. I got nervous energy, so I might need to take a lap or two before you make your way down the aisle to me in your gorgeous white dress. Supple, rosy cheeks. So, get a little flustered. So I'd say definitely somewhere outside.
Okay. Okay.
Big open, maybe a plain or near some concrete.
Okay. Bachelor number 4. Could you tell, like, what if we were to go out to eat? What kind of food would we want to eat?
You're doing great.
Well, first of all, we wouldn't need to go out to eat. I am a type who's an expert in the culinary arts. I can make all sorts of dishes, but primarily baking, and I like to make. I'm also like a drink mixer, and I do love me a good few different types of meat.
Fuck. I feel
Do you
like
have any guesses so far?
Nothing else is. All right. So I'm gonna say Anthony's Wario.
Okay.
Is that
All right.
right?
Yes,
That-
that's right.
Okay.
All right. We'll do another round, and then if you guys want to be more obvious, we can.
Yeah,
We'll
I
just-
you
Yeah.
guys are
Because-
doing good
I had-
vague. It's just like there's some ideas that are just not connecting in my brain.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
We'll get
It's
another
easy to
question
get
in there.
Walsh, can I have a new one for round 2?
Yeah, for round 2.
It's the never-ending dating game.
Just restart it.
Yeah, so for I spelled it wrong. So for round 2, because you were the only one who got guessed, giving you that.
Given that you made it way too freaking easy.
Sorry.
Well, no,
No,
it's okay.
it's totally okay. It's okay.
Some people's were harder to guess than other ones.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if I could think of. I don't know. I'll move away from the date questions. Let's try to ask. So I'll start with Bachelor number 2, and I'll go through there. Bachelor number 2. When you look in the mirror, like what is it that you like? What are some of the emotions that you have when you see yourself?
You're asking me horrible questions.
Fantastic.
I see with someone who's always willing to help others. I might see myself as like, I may not always be in the spotlight, but when I'm there to help, I help out as much as I can, and that makes me feel good.
Fuck yeah, that was a bad line of questioning. Huh? Bachelor number 3. What is like? Could you describe the people that you usually hang around?
Sure. So I hang around a motley crew for sure. All my friends. We've been friends for years. We all have similar activities that we like to do, and a real determined bunch. Really very proud of our things that we do.
There's so many good things that I want to say. To help.
I know, and because I know it's okay. No, it's okay. We're really into animal rights. We all volunteer on the weekends for local campaigns and shelters. So, we're just, and
I said before this I didn't want to guess because I knew I was going to be bad at this.
And you know what? As soon as you said that, I was like, Matt's going to assign him to guess. Walsh is going to make him guess. I knew it as soon as it came out of your mouth. I was like, you just threw yourself under the bus.
I know.
I knew it. So yeah, that's,
So
That's
you're nervous. You're nervous. You go for a lap if you in order to calm down. You're outdoorsy. You're an animal rights activist.
Here, Chris. Forget nervous.
Okay.
Completely.
Okay.
Likes to
the
run.
nervous energy was just that I like to get it out by running, by taking a lap or two.
They like to.
I'd say impatient.
Like to run. Likes animals.
Well, let him go. Like we'll come back around.
We'll come
You
back
keep
around.
going. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You can ruminate on it.
Or excuse me, Bachelor number 4. What's a day in the life of Bachelor number 4 like?
A day in the life of Bachelor number 4. Usually, I get up right at the break of dawn. I tend to I get up.
Don't be afraid to be pretty obvious about it.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm just trying. I'm trying to.
I want to make him work for it though. Like I know we have a time limit, but also this is fun.
All right, get up at the break of dawn. First things first, I prep meals for the day. It can range from bread to baked potatoes and, like I said before, all sorts of meats.
Light bulbs are sparking.
No, it's not. I'm like, what the fuck is it? I'm so mad at myself right now. Why is it not coming to my brain? What's the chef that makes bread and baked potatoes? I forget.
After that, I tend to do a spot of landscaping. I'm also a carpenter, so I spend my time doing that too. I'm really just an everyman.
What is happening? Why can't I say this?
So Chris,
it's really telling that he's not getting this one. Like that's like amazing.
So Chris, they are not specifically a chef. They
do a lot of different things.
They do a lot of different things. Yes, just like Gabe said. Landscaping, carpenting.
I feel like I'm thinking Tom Nook, but that's the.
Tom Nook doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
He's also a drink mixer.
Yeah, you know.
Oh my god.
I mean, I would say that.
Would
I would say those
Hunter
drinks
is
are pretty
Hunter
enchanting,
another
to be honest.
is one too or no?
Say again.
Is Hunter something that you would call this person or no?
Yeah,
I would call
absolutely.
him a hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your drinks are pretty good. They're pretty enchanting, you know.
Yeah.
Is it Steve?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Chris,
I was
it took
thinking.
you
I was
so
thinking
long.
so. No, I was thinking so. Like, what's a character? Which rich character is there out there? I'm thinking, what character has this lifestyle? I'm just like, oh, fucking Steve. Okay.
Who
all
does
right.
so
Potions,
much?
hunting.
He does so much.
All right,
Oh my god, he's such a.
should we try to get mine and Kelsey's done?
Yeah. Well. Anthony, real quick, what does your character look like?
Just like everybody else. Why?
All right.
Why?
I'm only laughing because I didn't share with the audience and everybody else what Anthony is.
All right, bachelor number 2 then. Okay, so just to break down again, you like a person that is good with children, so that means you are yourself are probably good with children.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I'd say probably babies specifically.
Specifically babies.
Caretaker.
Specifically babies.
Caretaker of babies.
Caretaker babies. Who the fuck takes care of babies?
I like to support someone. If you want to, I was waiting for you to ask like a more like intimate question so that I could say I like it when people ride me.
He's also a very physically active
person. Really go.
Likes to play all kinds of sports.
Yeah, Matt's somebody who can really go the distance, but you can also invite them to a party, or if you want to go driving.
Is this Matt the me?
No.
Who rides Matt the me?
Well, you started describing like all the Wii games, and I'm just like.
But like, he just said that people love to ride him. So
that's that part that's really throwing me off, though. That part's throwing me.
Who is good? Who is good with babies? You can ride them.
Wait, you know what you're also
and
really
there's
good with?
some sort of sidekick.
You know what you're also really good with? Your tongue.
Yeah.
The tongue is
Yoshi.
Fantastic. There you go.
There you go.
I didn't want to be that specific because I knew that Chris would get it right away.
I didn't realize that he would get it right away. I didn't mean to do that.
because we talk about Yoshi's tongue all the time in VBBFL. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
no,
it's okay.
fine.
It's okay.
No, you guys, you're good. It's about time.
Good with
It was about.
Oh,
Yoshi's
da. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. All right, Kelsey now. Kelsey's the key here. Kelsey's the key.
What do you want to ask me? Why don't you ask me what a day in the life is like?
Yeah. Day in the life in the world of Bachelor number 3.
So I wake up really early and I go running and I literally run really like all over the place really
Sonic?
fast.
Yay!
So the full day in the life is going to be that, then going and volunteering at the animal shelter, and then eating like a dozen chili dogs for dinner.
Wait! I'm so sorry. Animal shelter?
The animal shelter.
What is?
'Cause he's an animal.
Everybody keeps telling me that he's an animal activist.
He's an animal.
Plus, he
I
also
didn't
saves
know that.
animals
He likes
from
to
robots.
save the woodland critters.
Yeah.
Yes!
He played the coin.
When you kill an
Are you
enemy
talking
in
about, like, the
Sonic,
Chow Garden?
an animal comes out.
Are you referring to the
Say
Chow
he's
Garden
a
in essence?
jeweler.
Like it
I don't know
he
anything
works
about
at the-
Sonic. Walsh couldn't have assigned me the character that I least
So-
about.
He works
I
as
could've- I
he's
should've
like on the
done
black
Sonic.
market.
So
Sonic works on the black market.
So I said I messaged Kelsey and I said for the Let's Make a Date game you have Sonic, and you said for the record I've never played a single Sonic game and don't know much, but I'll do my best with what I know. And I said runs fast, saves animals, likes chili dogs, and
So
that
that's
was
what
all
I
I
had to
gave
work
you.
with. So I didn't know that save animals went like fucking squirrels. I thought maybe he was like rescuing cats. I don't know. Like I don't know how it works. Whatever.
So
I should
I
have done it
texted
with
Gabe and I was like, "Help me!" And he didn't see it.
Oh, wait, what? Oh no, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's okay.
My phone's
To
on
me,
silent.
It's
to
okay.
me, what's really funny is the idea. Like I heard run and I did think of Sonic, but I was like,
You got hung
nah,
up on
that's too
nervous.
obvious. That's too obvious. I don't want to say that right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I want to get more. And then when you say animal activist, that just threw me for a fucking loop.
Well, and then you were like, describe your friends, and I literally fast Googled Sonic character, and I'm like, they all fucking look like him. What do I say? I don't know anything about these people. And I'm like, we've been around forever, and we like the same things,
We like
and
doing
we do
things,
things
yeah.
together. Like, that's all I had.
All right, Anthony, give me just to run out the segment. Give me a really obvious hit at what your second
Oh my
character
god,
is.
no, wait, Anthony's clue before killed me.
Just like everybody else.
I mean, I was just over there. I was just cleaning out the trash.
Is
So
that
this-
Tom
this-
Nook?
No, so this
Why
was
is everything Tom
Skylar's.
Nook?
But that
Are
I'll give it
you-
to Anthony as a new one.
I have an idea.
Okay,
shit.
go
Are you,
ahead.
are you a fucking sim?
No.
Okay.
No, not a sim.
Did he say
That's a good
Sim
guess, though.
or
No,
Sim?
Sim.
The reason why
Simba.
I said Tom Nook again was because I thought raccoon and trash.
So, Chris.
I know
Well,
he's
no,
Pinky,
but he said that he looks like everyone else. Why?
So
That's true.
Chris,
Tom Nook is everyone.
not Nintendo, and a game that's been a bit more recent. And he was just over there. He was taking out the trash. He looks like everybody else.
He looks like everyone else.
That could be so many things. What are you talking
Anthony, you're being really sus right now.
I think we
Gabe
need to have
was-
a meeting.
Gabe was just hanging out with me.
Oh.
Oh.
Is it your crewmate?
No.
I mean, he is a crewmate.
He is a crewmate, just like
I
everyone
am,
else.
but I'm not.
Just like me and you.
Wait,
Oh
I'm
my
so
God.
sorry. I'm getting conflicting answers. Is that the correct one? or
Oh,
no?
hey, look, it's Anthony.
Is it Agent 47?
Oh my God.
Chris, you have the right game, but he's not a crewmate. What is he? He's not a crewmate.
Imposter!
Yeah.
There you go.
He had it and then he lost
One
it.
imposter remains.
Well, if it's a crewmate, I mean, everyone ends up being a crewmate and an imposter in that game. They're basically crewmates.
But now
They're
now if you think about when you asked him and nobody else knew, and you asked him, "What do you look like?" and he went, "Like everyone else." Why?
That is such a good answer.
That was so
That is-
good.
that is a
It
good
was so
answer.
funny.
That is a good answer. So that's why I was like, okay, crewmate, because I just think of those because basically what you said,
No,
they
I
all
know,
look the
I know.
same. So it's like that's why I'm like, all right, so then all
Chris,
right, maybe that's
you
not
did
Among Us.
totally fine. It just killed me that he answered that way. You're fine.
And Chris, I appreciate you for being a good sport and
Yeah, I was the moment that you messaged me that I was like, I was just like, I fucking hate you. I hate you so much. But it's
This
alright.
was a really fun one.
It's
yeah.
okay.
If we do this again, I'll change it around. But
I'm
I
fine with
messaged
it.
Anthony.
I think
and
we should just play this on our own. I think this
Yeah,
should just be
yeah,
a new
that was a
friend
good
game.
one.
I
It's a good
messaged
one.
Anthony and I misspelled Among Us. It was Amoung us.
Oh, that's the
Imposter.
British spelling.
That's Among Us
Among
imposter.
Among Us.
That's the British spelling. Among Us, yeah.
The Europe server.
All right. Well,
Then shall we move on?
Yeah. Apologies for the poor guesses. At least I feel like I felt good about at least getting 2 of them at least. But yeah.
No, I thought you did good. You did good.
What we are moving forward into our next relationship, and this time it's about a co-op game, and we're going to have a co-op presentation of it. It is Leo and Vincent from A Way Out. Take it away, Walsh and Skylar.
Oh, this is a co-op presentation?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's okay, I'll take
wherever you
care
guys
of
want to
it.
do it.
You can just stand there and look pretty.
Skylar's looking for a way out.
Don't get punched in the mouth.
So it's hard to talk about just the relationship without talking about the game, because it really is, you sit down with somebody else and it just becomes so fun, which is why I'm really glad that you're here. I mean, because I also like you, but also...
You invited me?
Yes, but also because, I was able to sit down and play the game with you.
We beat it in one day.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, because you're each playing a completely different character, but by working together you get through the entirety of the plot. And not only is it a relationship that starts off as these 2 hardened guys that meet in a jail, and then their relationship goes from there as they work on not only trying to escape and finding
A Way Out?
whoa, but also
Hey, that's the name of the show.
Yeah, but also to, figure out what's going on with the plot and then work together to get their own revenge. And, of course, with
Revenge
that
to
come
who?
to the...
Well, you have to
depends.
talk. You can't just say that. You have to talk about the plot.
Yeah. So,
Then-
well, I'm not going to give away any big twists, but because I just think it's, even without the twist, it's already, so much fun for me. Because it was just fun to just be able to sit there and just, even just talk over it and just, joke around.
Yeah,
hey,
we tend to mute the actual plot, and we'll just talk as the characters and make up our own plot.
Well, so you played as Leo, and I played as Vincent.
Leo was the one with the big nose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Vincent, Leo, come on, we gotta get going.
He said, "Please help me." He said, "We gotta find a way out." We kept quoting that Game Grumps thing. That look at us, a couple of cards.
Because that was how I found out about the game from Game
And I just had it.
Yeah, and so that was. But no, if you're looking for just like a really fun cooperative experience, that's definitely what I would talk about. I mean, their relationship, they really go from, these two strangers to
these two haters.
to these two very close friends as they come to rely on each other to get out, find a way out.
And even because they find a way out pretty early in the game.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the game is just them getting chased, basically.
Yeah, getting chased or...
Can we spoil the ending?
Yeah, is anyone who would still think about playing the game, or are you guys okay with spoilers?
I'm going to take my headphones out for a few minutes.
Me too.
Okay.
All right, yeah, skip
Okay.
ahead like a couple minutes.
Yeah, so this is spoilers for people who do not know the ending, and we'll wave the people back once we are good
Do you
to
want
go.
to pull the trigger?
Sure, I'll play.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, so Kelsey and I are fine. So you all right?
So wait,
this
is it
spoilers.
really
Go
like?
ahead.
Did everyone take out their headphones?
Yes, everybody except Chris and Kelsey.
Except for me and Kelsey?
Then is there a point? I don't know.
You're
Yeah,
recording
sure.
for an
We'll talk about
audience.
the podcast.
They
For the
Oh,
audience.
yeah.
go from best friends to not best friends.
Well, Leo and Vincent. Leo's the one I played.
Uh-huh.
Leo is an actual like convict. Meanwhile, Vincent was an undercover cop who got put into jail to get closer to Leo, so he can get a bigger crime boss that Leo is connected to.
Mm-hmm.
So the twist at the end is that, he betrayed him and he was an undercover cop. And then the twist is only one person can live. So you end up having to, you have to fight each other basically until the end.
yeah.
And that's the fun twist. That's the funnest part.
Yeah, that
Most
I've
fun?
seen so many people play the ending, and it's fucking like it's insane when people realize like, oh shit, now we have to work against each other. Like it's wild.
Yeah.
Well, I lost. I lost. Like, I did. I lost against Matt.
Well, I
And-
think that's just because button mashing.
Well, yeah, I'm not very good at button mashing games,
Yeah.
and it gets just like I don't know. My thumb is short.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it is just a wild ending to it, the whole thing, and I think it's just such a fun twist to like round out the experience. I'm gonna bring everyone back now.
You can talk more about like the actual.
Yeah, but
relationship
talk
of
about
game.
about the main gameplay now. I think would be best for that situation.
But yeah, as for the relationship through most of the game, it really is, just these two guys relying on
Well,
one
it's similar
another.
to Ratchet and Clank. In the aspect of like, one character does this. Like, what if like you guys are getting chased by the cops? Like one character drives, one character shoots.
And in terms of like their personalities, Leo is very much this, action first, think later. Like will like beat the shit out of you, and then like, or if there will be different situations where you were offered a choice, and you can either go Vincent's way or Leo's way. And Leo's way is usually, oh, let's just knock him out, and then try to, just or like hold him at gunpoint, and we'll just make it quick and like high risk, high reward. While Vincent is very much, no, let's try to play this smart, and then maybe lie or try to get around it in a non-violent way. And it becomes this back and forth of who you want to follow and how that relationship, they bounce off one another, especially as you get glimpses into both of their lives, whether it be Leo as
a dad and has a wife. Mm-hmm. Vincent has a baby on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But he has a wife. Him and his wife aren't together anymore
No.
because he was too committed to his job.
Yeah.
And that's why they aren't together at the point. But she's like very pregnant. She's ready to pop, kind of pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Might even.
I don't know. She might even pop the game. Yeah, I was gonna
Like,
say, is that a
maybe.
spoiler?
Like, don't sneeze too hard, kind of pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have to actually have to button mash to get the
to
baby.
get the baby out.
Yeah. Like push. You have to really
maneuver.
hold down the
You have to
X
maneuver.
on
You
that
have to,
button,
what was the game? Heavy Rain, with like how you had played with the PlayStation Move.
Yeah.
You had to like do that.
That was such a weird part of the game because one of
Where you
us
have to,
played
like-
the doctor, and we had to like aim and get ready to catch, and then you
Catch.
played as the baby ready to launch.
But like the PlayStation Move makes it so much more difficult.
Yeah.
Even though
At least
I was
you got the PlayStation Move. I was using like
Xbox loser,
no, I was using Nintendo Labo.
you're using the Wii Fit.
Yeah.
You guys are like we're diving into like the weird like let's see how many different ways you can play A Way Out. Like,
But yeah,
Sorry.
overall,
wait.
I
if
love
you're
it.
really
Is A
looking-
Way Out the journey of the baby?
yes.
That's
You,
true.
no, yeah, you know what? Because you know what, that makes sense. Because for the rest of the game, you play the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
yeah.
go.
Baby with a gun.
Yeah, it's like Super Mario Odyssey, where one plays the hat. You play the baby's. You play the baby's like diaper.
No, you play the gun.
You play the baby's diaper, and then one plays the baby.
Oh,
All right, what's the next
Oh,
game we're talking
and then you-
about?
And then you throw the
Yeah.
diaper.
You throw the diaper and then like becomes
Dale
some
literally never stops. So
Yeah. I'm loving it.
So
But
as for A
Go
Way
ahead,
Out,
go
to
ahead.
wrap up, very, very fun. If you're looking for a really fun cooperative experience to sit down, I mean,
we fight. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, we
We're
knew
gonna fight.
the big twist before even going in, and like we had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I will say too, like in terms of, in terms of like games in that style, the creator of A Way Out, and I think I talked about this potentially on Gaming Coop before, is currently making, is going to be releasing in the next month another game. In fact, I believe it's a month from today when we're recording this. It Takes Two. Which is
Really?
a lot more. Yes, it's a lot more cutesy. It's not as like gritty as this one. It's a little bit more. It's more of like a platforming action adventure. But it has a very poignant story behind it, and I'm so excited for it. It's one of my most like anticipated 2021 games. I'm so excited to play whoever. I wanted to play the game multiple times. Like if I play once with like Anthony, another time with Walsh, or another time with Kelsey or Gabe, or whoever. Like I'm down to like to me I know I'm gonna love the game just by looking at it, because it looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun, and it's building off of A Way Out's success, which like I know that they can make a pretty good game, and so and now you're entering my territory of like fun cute platformers. And I'm just like, all right, I'm ready to give this a go. So I loved what for what I know about A Way Out. Like it's such an exciting fun game, and I might even play it prior to playing It Takes Two. So
Side note: the voice actor for either Leo or Vincent, or maybe both, is the creator of the game.
yeah, Joseph Fares is his name. Yeah, he's Leo, I believe. He's insane. The dude is he's talks so much shit on people in public, and it's great. It's excellent. He's famous for going on the Game Awards and saying "fuck the Oscars" on live Twitch television, I guess. It's just he's very much a spokesperson for like anti microtransaction, anti like capitalistic ideas of the gaming industry. Like he wants it to be a more of a community experience, and so I respect him for what I know about him. Hopefully he's not an asshole, but he seems like a really good guy, and so I love that he has the success that he's had thus far, and I'm very much looking forward to his next game. All right, moving forward here, let's move on to another PlayStation game.
Yeah.
Another one that hasn't been touched in a long time. The Sly Cooper
Sadly.
game, specifically Sly and Carmalita.
All right,
Really
so
bad.
yeah, so this is the only romantic relationship on the list, which is not what I didn't expect to be the only one.
Wait till he finds out the twist in The Way Out.
Oh shit!
Right.
Wait, I thought we had Ratchet and Clank. What do you?
I guess mild Sly Cooper series spoilers. The game's super old, so I don't feel super bad about it. I'm really only going to talk about the relationship between the two people.
Sure.
For background for people who don't know the game, Sly is a thief. He steals from people, specifically other thieves is his thing. He tries to steal from other like master thieves that are like more criminal than him. Big air quotes there. With his friends Bentley and Murray. And then Carmalita is a cop. She is from Interpol, International Police, and they play a game where Sly tries to steal stuff and Carmelita tries to catch him. That's a big back and forth that the two have throughout the series. Despite that standoffishness and them kind of being on either side of the law, they definitely both show over the course of the series that they have feelings for each other. They when the job stuff isn't in the way, they enjoy each other's company. Even if they have to be sneaky or coy with the way that they get around that. An example is Sly or Carmelita teams up to help Sly at the end of the first game, and then in order for him to get away, before she arrests him, he leaves her handcuffed to a bridge. She gets out on her own, but
Okay.
leaves her handcuffed to a bridge and sails off. At the end of the second game, he turns himself in to let Bentley and Murray go free, and they have a really nice chat in the police helicopter before they actually get to know each other before Sly just dips out. Because I think his friends had rigged the helicopter to just keep flying in circles. So they weren't actually taking him to the jail. He just gets out.
That's like the PG side of things where they're like, we're not gonna make the helicopter crash. We're just gonna have it spin in circles. That's all.
Right. Yeah.
They still have crashes in that game, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, they do.
And
And
explosions and stuff.
Explosions, and right before that happened, one of the characters literally gets paralyzed from the waist down. So.
Oh, okay. So never mind. I take everything back.
And then at the end of the third game, after the events of the story, Sly seems to develop amnesia, and it's him and Carmelita against the final boss. And he says, "I don't know who I am." And this is where the relationship gets really weird at the end of the third game and through all the fourth game, and it's really interesting to be worth it's worth discussing for me just because I find the dynamics interesting. He develops amnesia, and Carmelita, who's there, tells him, "Your name is Constable Cooper. You're my partner." So she tells who she presumes at this point has amnesia that he's the wrong person. He's someone he's not, and then they go to live together, and they kind of live the high life in Paris, and we get a hint at the end of the third game that Bentley was kind of spying on them, seeing if Sly was okay, and Sly gives a wink to the camera. He's faking the amnesia.
Oof. Wow.
Because. And this is kind of how I see it, and this is where the original trilogy ended. There's more in the fourth game, and I really like the fourth game because of their relationship, partially. But this at this point is the end of the series, so there's a bit of both. I think both of them knowing that this is the only way that they can actually be together, is if Sly has amnesia and can be in this, I guess, more lawful role. This is not this at this point. We just throw out anything that's how society treats criminals. Any bit of that. That's a good conversation to have, but not important here.
But not about Sly Cooper.
Right, but this is the only way that they can actually be together, because both of them do have feelings for each other. Both of them do want this to happen, even if their jobs get in the way. Any thoughts so far before I get into the fourth game?
Well, first I'll give the floor to anyone who has played Sly Cooper.
I've played, but I don't really. I always thought their relationship's kind of like a Tom and Jerry kind of relationship.
A little bit,
up until the end. Up until the third game, I was thinking when you were talking, I'm pretty sure I haven't played the third game in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, isn't there a part where they're on vacation together? At the end, I was thinking, and I was like, whoa. Then you mentioned it later on, so I was like, okay, I wasn't wrong.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and even when they're like they have the cat and mouse relationship, it's more Carmelita's super dedicated to her job. But when there is a larger threat, they will team up.
Yeah. I think they do that a few times.
Yeah, like every final boss, Carmelita helps you.
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna ask. Because not having played the games, not really knowing much about the characters. To me, it's interesting. Like these are two rivals essentially.
Yeah.
And I guess where I'm confused is that like how does it get to? I think you answered it though. I was like, how would it get to a point where it would be romantic if she's the one hunting him down, like he's the criminal and all that? And but it is the fact that they team up.
Yeah,
they also have very like witty banter. They have very witty banter. They're like Sly Cooper. He's like Carmelita Fox.
The sexual tension is very strong between these two characters.
No, it's a very like cat and mouse kind of thing.
Yeah, but like every time he walks in, she's like Sly Cooper. I will stop you now, and then he's like Carmelita Fox. I can't wait for it.
Very Hispanic accent in every game except Sly 2, because she changes voice actresses every game, which is something weird.
Yeah, it is a little weird. Like Carmelita, you
and she has a Hispanic accent in every game except 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sly 4 is where it gets a little interesting, because like Sly 3 like wrapped it up, and then Sly 4 starts, and Sly gets back into stealing stuff because something's happened with like his family history, and Bentley's like, "Hey, dude, we need to figure this out." So Sly's like, "Okay, I'll help with the stealing stuff again." Gets caught by Carmelita stealing from a museum. So she is understandably extremely pissed at him. And they kind of the fourth game's about time travel, so they kind of like just jet off back in time. And Sly's kind of in a mood of like, I'll explain later.
Do they ever actually explain later?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They explain pretty early, actually.
Yeah, they explain pretty early. We get a cutscene of like Carmelita's point of view, and Carmelita kind of explains her side was that she had a feeling she would always like notice him like looking at the most expensive stuff at the party. As an example, she admitted that she was maybe just lying to herself a bit.
Yeah. Because
she wanted it to work, and Sly wanted it to work, and that's just how they felt that they had to make it work at the time. There is a scene in the second chapter of the story where, with one of Sly's ancestors, she flirts with him to try to make him jealous. Because the fourth game is like going back in time to meet all of Sly's different ancestors, all the thieves in his family history, and it's literally like his great grandpa or whatever. She flirts with him, but he's like the same age as Sly in this time. It's a little weird, but
yeah, it is interesting. Like, and so that do you think that they? I mean, I know that Sly never really got like the proper conclusion of a series.
Yeah, because the end of Sly 4 involves another time another time fucky thing, where Sly gets sent to an era no one knows where he went. You as the player only find out when you 100% the game, and it's this really short cutscene that's not worth it, but that's another point entirely.
That's for another time.
So
then, do you think that they tie up the relationship at least?
So it's Carmelita after that, kind of like she avoids the rest of the group. She's just super buried in her work. I think also both to like distract her, but also to work hard to find out where Sly is. And she finds the blimp wreckage where she finds that like Sly had left behind some photos of her that he'd been carrying with him throughout the entire journey. So I think that in that moment Carmelita gets some closure of like, okay, Sly actually did care about me.
Yeah.
And it's like I want a new game in the series so bad just because Sly 4's ending was so shit.
Yeah.
But I also want to see how this relationship can develop. I want to see how they would do it in the year that is now a decade after the after the events of Sly 4, just because I think that this relationship has a lot to it that can be explored a little more, and it's something that they put a lot of attention into, which you don't really need to do story wise with a lot of platformers.
Was it really 10 years ago?
I believe so. Let me check.
So the interesting thing right now is that the Sucker Punch is getting a lot of attention for Ghost of Tsushima.
Problem is, they did not do Thieves in Time.
There was another developer. That
it was Sanzaro Games.
Sanzaro, I don't know. I've heard of that before. So does that? But do you think that Sucker Punch ever comes back to this game?
I don't think so, because I think Sanzaro is the developers who do it now, who have the rights to it.
So you think they completely traded off the rights then?
Yeah,
in that sense,
because Sanzaro did Sly 4. They also did fucking Sonic Boom 3DS games. So not a great situation for the studio.
Yeah, they I guess that it looks like they did the Spyro Reignited trilogy.
They also did that, yeah.
Which that was a good spin-off, and they haven't made anything since 2019. It looks like. I don't know. I would imagine. It is interesting, and I am curious as to if that Sanzaro has like permanent rights to it, or if Sucker Punch, who were like the original creators, if they are the ones that have rights to it. Because I do think that is a game I hear about all the time. Is like, what if they do bring it back?
I will buy a PS5 if Sly 5 is confirmed.
Yeah, like to me that's I am very curious about that, and we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts before we move on from Sly and Carmalita? We're good.
It's just a very interesting relationship to discuss, I think. And
yeah, 100%. And that's why like it feels bad when like a relationship that good like kind of has closure, but not it's not as satisfying as you want to hope.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we move forward here. We're gonna move on to Gabe. And Gabe, you are going to present us with the greatest duo in you might correct me on this, in Sega history.
Mario and Luigi.
That's debatable, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, I was figuring out a way how I could like present this to you, and I know that you're a Sega guy, so I know that you would probably know more than me on that front.
But I'm gonna be talking about Sonic and Tails for a little bit. So to put this up front, these two are they consider each other brothers. Like they may have not like been born together, but they're that close that they consider each other like just brothers. And like I can't really find another good descriptor of that.
Relatives.
But like they're just
family.
They're just yes.
Yeah.
But their history goes pretty far back, like to Sonic 2, where Tails was introduced. His backstory was that he had always admired Sonic from afar, and he was dreaming like maybe I can be like him someday, or like maybe I can join him on his adventures. And when he got the opportunity to meet Sonic, I might be like saying this a little bit incorrectly, but he essentially taught Sonic the new move that you could perform in the game, the spin dash, because Tails got so excited that he was able to meet his hero. And Sonic's like, hey, I want to learn that from you. Why don't we team up? So that's why they're together in Sonic 2 and onward. Their relationship over time just becomes stronger. Like in Sonic 3, they're just together when they're trying to destroy the Death Egg, with Knuckles being an adversary. And after that, it just kind of stays consistent up until Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure, they give Tails a lot more personal growth and development, where he finds himself depending on Sonic far too much. So he wants to learn how to be independent and to do things on his own. So he while he does still hang out with Sonic during his campaign in Sonic Adventure, he does in the end defeat Eggman on his own, and he's like, so this is what it's like to be like Sonic but on my own. And after that, in Sonic Adventure 2, he gets even more development because he is independent now. Like, he doesn't need Sonic by his side all the time. He's able to take on Eggman, but like just semi-regularly at this point. And he's able to like stop the government and like just there's a lot of context that's necessary, but we don't have time for that right now. So
Fair enough.
But essentially, at the climax of Sonic's story of the hero side, Eggman launches Sonic into orbit, and the escape pod that he's in explodes, and Tails is like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
and like enraged, he defeats Eggman again, but he is just really distraught at the thought of him losing someone so important to him.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out Sonic does get out just fine, and Tails celebrates that fact, but with just now him knowing that he can do things on his own, he builds his confidence. In Sonic Heroes, Sonic and Tails, they're up together like always, and Tails, they just really mesh together really well. Like, they just kind of, what's the word? Well, in any case, like they gel together really well. Also in Sonic Heroes, they go back and forth with some witty banter, and like throughout the stages, they talk about their surroundings or like what they're facing at the time, and it's just you can tell that it's really just a big team effort between the two and Knuckles, but
Yeah.
he's just there.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, their relationship crumbles in the era of modern Sonic.
As many things do, unfortunately.
See, like up until up until Unleashed, Tails was nearly at the forefront. At Unleashed, Tails was pushed to the background. In his place, Chip, like the secondary protagonist of the game, is starring next to Sonic, and then after that, Tails just gets put far into the background because you can no longer play as him, and he's just the smart guy who can like build machines.
Hey Scott, hey Sonic, look at the screen.
Look at this screen. I can read binary code like it's the back of my hand. I'm such a fucking nerd.
I mean, he does that in every game, though. Those exact words.
But,
Tails says fuck, and the Sonic team just lets it happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's Sonic Colors. They try to make funny dialogue, and they make him say made-up words to make him sound smart, even though they're just ridiculous mashes together of letters.
Zooey mom.
And after that, actually I think it's before that, but in Sonic, no, it's after that. Sonic Generations, they are a bit more cohesive together because Tails and Sonic are trying to figure out, well, both pairs of Tails and Sonic are trying to figure out what the hell is going on, why is time being eaten, and stuff like that, because there was a time travel plot. Again, something I can't go into right now.
Fair.
But in Tails' place, where he could have been a playable character, it's the second Sonic that's at the forefront. He doesn't even fucking talk. He's just there.
Is it like an Ocarina of Time type thing, where it's like, is it just...
He doesn't even make any noises. He's just silent.
Huh.
Like, he is a complete mute.
Okay.
But he does, like, show his personality a bit through, like, physical motions and stuff like that.
I was curious if
that,
it was like a younger Sonic or older Sonic type.
Oh, it's younger Sonic.
It's a younger Sonic. Okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter because he doesn't talk.
He doesn't do anything. Yeah, it doesn't do anything to the plot. Yeah.
After that, I might be skipping a game or two. Sonic Lost World.
That's okay.
Sonic Lost World is where everything fell to shit and has continued falling to shit.
Yeah.
In Sonic Lost World, Tails and Sonic are still like, oh, we're best buds, high five, and all of that. But,
and then nothing
there
else.
is-
Nothing building.
There is unnecessary tension between the two after, like, Sonic makes a bullheaded move. He's just being a dumbass, and Tails is like, "What the fuck are you doing? Why didn't you listen to me?" Wah wah wah. And after that, Tails is like, because they have to work with Eggman to do some shit, and Tails is like, "Why you prefer working with him than me?" And Sonic's like, "No, what the fuck?" And he's just a whiny bitch
Throughout the entire game. Yeah.
throughout the entire game. And then in Sonic Forces, Sonic Forces, they completely dashed any type of character development from him pre-Sonic Adventure 2 and made him just another whiny bitch who can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like he out of context. Chaos from Sonic Adventure.
Yeah.
Tails took on his 6th form. He can't even take on his bullshit 0 form because it's like, Sonic, help me, and he fucking curls up into a ball and was like, they just destroyed his character.
So that's really interesting because you're talking again. It's kind of like it's a much more disastrous ending than like a Sly Carmalita type thing, because like at least there is some. That game it just ends. That series ended and there wasn't a continuation, and there was some things left hanging, but there was at least some closure. This is an ongoing series, one of the most popular series out there, and they have just did a bell curve of like, all right, we're reaching our peak, we're doing really really well. Tails is going to be his own independent boy, and now he's whiny bitch, and then it just goes down, and everything sucks.
It is complete and utter character regression.
Yeah.
And it is so unfortunate to see that, because he was built up to become like he has had his own games, but like he is important enough of a character to warrant that. But they just did a fucky wucky and they just messed it all up because they wanted to have him be entirely dependent on Sonic again.
Yeah.
Which is like,
no, why?
So, this is going to be a very specific reference, but if you really want to see like the relationship between Sonic and Tails done right, watch the episode of OKKO where Sonic is just there, and they meet Sonic and Tails. And
what type of shit are you watching?
I know it sounds like a weird like fan fiction, but
No, it's real. It's real.
Yeah, OKKO really said like, hey, Cartoon Network, what properties do you have? And Cartoon Network was like, oh, all these ones that we're really not doing anything important with. And they're like, can we use that? Like the Captain Planet crossover, what was the spooky Scooby Doo
The Ghoul School
crossover?
That shit ruled.
Yeah, I'm getting off track though. But they do a very good job of showing the relationship that you talked about when it was at its peak, as Tails really seeing, Sonic as somebody who he looks up to like an older brother, and then having to, meet that challenge. And he talks about it, with KO and how that's really, shaped him as a character. So I even if you don't watch the show and you enjoy that initial relationship, I highly recommend just watching that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an excellent example.
Yeah.
I mean, I have not watched OKKO in its entirety, but I did make sure I watched that episode to see how they would translate like the characters from a video game series into a fantastical cartoon such as OKKO. Like, I know Sonic has had his own cartoons in the past, but like they weren't nearly on the level of good as OKKO.
Yeah. Do you
He's
think
like, what's the right word?
bad? Yeah, they were bad. I guess for you, Gabe, as someone who's grew up on Sonic, lives and breathes the series, like, is it do you think that this can be prepared? Do you think that they could at all? I mean, first of all, we're waiting on Sega to even announce like anything that they're going to do for like anniversary stuff, which is a whole other can of worms. But do you think that they will ever redeem themselves at all and be able to have Tails be a better character rather than just being like the annoying sidekick for Sonic?
It's definitely going to take a lot of work because as of right now, pretty much the entirety of the fan base, I may be a little bit hyperbolic, but it's a vast majority of the fan base were in an outcry because of the absolute character murdering that happened to Tails in the past few games. And like it'd take a lot of rebuilding to have to like just rework everything about their relationship between Lost World and Forces.
Yeah.
And it's also a matter of like rebuilding trust with the fans, because what they did to like assassinate such a good character is like, it's just so bad.
Yeah. It is. It's a shame, but I at least like they were those games that were like the pinnacle, like Sonic Adventures 2. I remember watching that. Obviously, the people playing it were definitely shitting on the game, but there's so many Sega fans that love that game, and that was a great example of Tails kind of like doing his own thing and actually like doing his own story and painting his own path. And like,
absolutely.
And it was, and I remember watching that, like, and those levels are very cool too, because of the using the tail mechanic as well. So you really get a really like deep dive into Tails instead of just it being like Sonic and friends. Like it's Sonic. This is Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy. Like it really, and it gives each of them like their due. And yeah, I wish the best for you. For moving forward and having to deal with this.
They just gotta not like try to write the most serious story in the world.
Yeah.
And then have characters with two pupils on one eye inside it.
Right.
If they could make Tails have so much more character in Sonic Mania, where there's zero voice acting, it's just entirely sprite work.
Yeah.
Because there are little nuances in that game that go towards his personality.
It is an easy thing to do, but I whenever Sonic Forces just comes up, I was like, they literally like made Sonic a prisoner of war for 6 months.
And
just start the game.
Worse for wear.
A fucking POW.
Sorry, I'm just one more thing.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Even in Mania, like one little character detail. This goes back way far for like the Sonic OVA. It's like an anime adaptation of Sonic. There's really no specific story it goes off of, but it's just its own thing. Tails is afraid of lightning, and in Sonic Mania they show that example whenever there's a lightning strike. And there's this one cutscene in like right before the final zone of the game. It's like this dramatic backdrop and lightning strikes. Tails actually reacts in fear. And it's such a cool little detail that's like, it just has so much more character than the cardboard box that he is in Sonic Forces.
Right. Yeah, it's a real shame. And before we go, anyone just want to throw out a relationship that have in mind from other games? Lucas and Klaus from Mother 3.
Oh, Metal Gear Solid, Snake and the Metal Gear.
Yeah.
I'm
the
kidding.
the Wii Fit platform and my fat ass.
Sable and Tom Nook, which I always think is a really interesting little background lore that like I missed entirely for a very long time and then suddenly became aware of it and I was like, oh my god, I love that. And then also I was originally potentially going to talk about this game, but upon reflection and everything, the game itself, one of the games that has one of the biggest romantic components in your choosing your own storyline and being able to pick different partners is the Mass Effect trilogy. Unfortunately, the Mass Effect trilogy at the time that it was written, and due to whatever decisions the company made, there's also a lot of homophobia that they internalized and kept in their game in making it, in that, like, if you are playing male Shep, you can't romance some of the other male characters, even if you could choose to do so as your character. And same thing with, they were going to make a character Pan, and then they chose not to at the last minute because of reasons, and it just unfortunate. However, Shepard, and I always play Fem Shep, so I'm always allowed to romance Garrus Vicarian, and that is like one of my favorite romantic relationships in all video game history, regardless of the company doing dumb shit with their player abilities to romance people. But those are my two honorable mentions. Oh, and Lydia and Dragonborn.
Nice. I have
Bayonetta and Jean. Sorry.
Good.
No, just Bayonetta and Jean.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
I would have to... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Gabe and I had the thing, and then I said, no, go ahead, and then you and I did it. You had to get in first.
Sorry.
That was on Anthony, Gabe, not you. I was going to say...
No.
Fucking...
I'm kidding.
She did it on purpose.
The player character and the partner character from any Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game is a very, very good friendship.
Yep.
Very tight friendship.
Absolutely. Anthony?
TF2's Heavy and Sasha.
Ooh.
Is that actually a thing? Is that
Isn't that the gun?
That's the name of the gun.
It's the gun. In his intro
Okay,
cinematic, he's like, "Who touched Sasha?"
I'm pretty sure that picked up on my Audacity.
There you go. So good
It
you have
costs
it twice.
$400,000 to fire this weapon for 12 seconds.
I have two, Bloomery and Timpani from Super Paper Mario. I won't give any details, but it's one of my favorite video game relationships ever. But it literally, everything about it is spoilers for Super Paper Mario, so I'm just gonna let it be. It's a great game. The other thing is, for the last month, Bug Snacks has lived rent free in my mind, and and to me, it's hard to pick a relationship that works in the game because they all do, and you look at that game and you're like, it's just a bunch of like Muppets, and like, you know, you can walk around, you catch food and shit, you know, that's it. It's so much more, and it's actually like one of the most like LGBT plus like friendly games out there. Like it's multiple gay relationships. There is a non-binary individual amongst them as well. Like it's so fucking it's so diverse in its way, even though again it's Muppets, but it works. All the relationships and all the characters, they work so well, and the stories are really run deeper than like their silly exterior. And it was hard picking one, and that's why I ended up just opting out for another game. Please play Bugsnax. Y'all just play Bugsnax. It's such a good game. It deserves all the praise in the world. Well, that is that for this edition of the Gaming Coop. Folks, thank you all so much for tuning in. Game on. The Gaming Coop is brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Follow us on Twitter at The Gaming Coop, or follow our other work at Team Chaos Pods.